Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, The Stephen Sully Study. I've got another Zoom interview about to happen with a guy I got to know slightly passively over the years via the Hayemaker gym, Joe Fournier. One of the reasons why, or the two reasons why I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you, Joe, because, you know, my two passions in life, bar my family, is business and boxing. And you, my friend, tick both of those boxes pretty well. So thank you for coming aboard, and thank you for agreeing, Joe.
Thanks. Honestly, pleasure to be on here. I always had a lot of love for you from the day we met, and we've been talking about this for a while. So it's good timing with my fight coming up as well. A bit more interesting.
I mean, let's dive straight into it then, Joe. Yeah, because even I want to talk slightly about your background. I mean, I'm personally intrigued because I'm on my journey of becoming, you know, hopefully a successful business person. I'm nowhere near the level you're at. And I'm a true believer of learning from people that walk the path and getting inspired and educated. But before we go on to that part, you know, you're fighting on the undercard of Jake Paul and I can never pronounce his name properly. Askren, is it?
Yeah, Ben Askren.
That's it. And you're fighting Raycon. Now, is that correct? Now he's a rapper, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a reggaeton. He's like the number one rapper out of Colombia. And we got in a bit of a scrap in a restaurant in Miami about a month and a half ago. I had a different opponent, actually. I had a boxer, like a regular boxer. And then because of the hype, because of who he was and had someone, you know, that everyone videoed it at this kind of trendy restaurant. And it was like 20 of them and one of me. I was just me and my lawyer.
Huh.
So it kind of went viral a little bit. And then I was getting all these death threats. And I just texted him. I said, mate, where I'm from, like, it's a little scrap in the pub. Like, relax. You want to fight me? Get in the ring. And he didn't reply. And I screenshot that and posted it, put it on him a bit. And then he took the challenge. So they contacted Triller. Triller changed the opponent. And now I'm fighting a rapper.
Yeah, wicked. Do you know, like when I saw it, Joe? Obviously, I've commented on your Instagram quite a few times, particularly about you fighting again, because I know you toyed with the idea about a year ago, and I've got to be honest, like you keep yourself in good nick. You know, you clearly keep yourself training. I know you're ambitious because you're a business person, and I kept on saying to you a few times, look, come back, and this. It seems like you found your spark again. And I kind of feel that you go into this, you're going to win it. And is it going to tee up like a fight with someone like a Jake Paul or Logan Paul? Is that what you're trying to get to?
Well, I'd love to fight Jake Paul next. No, I haven't made it a secret. I call him out every interview, every podcast, every time I'm on telly. Because, you know, he started picking on me, you know, and he kind of started calling me an old man, and he put me in a coma and all that nonsense. And you got to just look at it from a respect standpoint. I lost my virginity when he was -1. He wasn't even a sperm. So I'm 14 years older than the kid. You can't talk to me like that. I will slap you right in your face, in or out the room. So I want to have that fight. Obviously, you know how it is at the end of the day, being a business person, as you are a business person, it's business boxing. It's not just who the two toughest guys on the planet. It's who sells the most tickets, who creates the most hype, who makes the most money. And at the end of the day, one thing I ain't never going to knock no one is by making money. You know, in his third professional fight, Jake Paul's making $10 million. So better than I've ever done, or most, you know.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I got to make myself as relevant to be able to kind of warrant a seat at the table, to be able to call him out. And to kind of say to the TV networks or to Triller or to whoever else is going to put it on is, look, I got a bigger fan base, or I've got people who want to see this fight. Otherwise, you're going to avoid me and keep fighting rappers and basketball players and retired MMA guys, and really avoid anyone that's going to punch him back just as hard as he does, or harder.
Yeah. Listen, I've got to be honest. When I saw him come onto the scene, you know, I'm no pro boxer, Joe. You know, I've had a few fights myself in amateur and also in the Queensberry League, and I'm definitely going to have a few more fights this year. But when I saw him and his brother calling people out, I was like, mate, I wish I had a big enough following, because I would love to get in there myself and have a go, you know. But fair play for putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah, you know, people kind of look at it like, you know, I got lucky. But if you think about it, when I fought on David Hayes' undercard at the O2 Arena, I was the first of this kind of hybrid boxer, celebrity slash businessman, you know, kind of like hybrid type personality, you know, because I don't have that amateur pedigree. And funny enough, when I was fighting professionally, you know, in the UK, everyone was like, he's crap, he's a sellout, it's not real, he's buying this fight nonsense. And now I'm fighting on the celebrity shows and I'm seen as a real fighter. And it's like, you got to pick your poison, you know. Some are, he's too good to fight this guy. And when I fight boxing, they go, he's too shit to fight this guy. And you just can never win. You're always going to have people against you and people with you, you know.
Yeah, listen, in life, I think anything you go into anything you go into any market, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know, there's always going to be people that big you up, and there's always people going to pull you back down. But like I said, fair play, Joe. Look, obviously you're a businessman, and I'm like I said, like to consider myself businessman. Numbers. What sort of money are you going to get for this fight? Can you talk about that?
Look, all the contracts should do a private because of they're going publicly listed.
Okay.
Let's just say I'm not really doing it for the money, to be honest with you. This is more about a personal challenge about wanting to get back in the ring mentally for me.
Okay.
I'll make more money doing my real job. That's for sure. So for me, it was just like, you know, Tyson Fury touched on it in a lot of his interviews where he talks about mental health and, you know, people just see a lifestyle and they assume you're always happy. But as you know, having had great success in business, it can be lonely to get to your goal because not always everyone's in agreement with you, right? Not everyone always sees the vision, and then you've got to take a lonely, dark path sometimes. And I think when you really get in certain ruts in your life, you need like little releases to kind of give you that spark. And as you said, we see that spark in me this time. And I just really enjoy this stuff, you know, the razzmatazz, the interviews, the hype of it, the nervousness of going into a big arena, being on telly. And, you know, these are kind of legacy memories. Like, think about it. I was an immigrant kid, French Italian, grew up in Hounslow, born in London, working for £1 an hour at Lahori Karate Curry House. Bless you. Right? So I went from a curry house to fighting on a show, doing my passion, next to Justin Bieber. Like, so you tell me, like, how inspirational that is for other young kids in London or anywhere else in the country for that sake. They don't see a way out. They get £1 an hour. They're working. They ain't got a social security, not national insurance. And dreams are possible, man. And that's all I'm doing it for, is just to keep my mental health straight, focus. I haven't drank company. It's like, it gives you a real target and a goal. So I do it more for my mental health, you know, because business is hard. And you get wins, you get losses. You know, COVID's been hard. Like, there's been a lot of it. Just what I post on my Instagram is all lifestyle and luxury stuff. But it doesn't mean that behind the scenes there ain't graft. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. People just don't want to see me miserable having a meeting with my lawyer for 8 hours. Boxing keeps my sanity.
Yeah. And so
there's a humbleness to it.
So I know,
because anyone can punch you in the face.
Yeah. Don't I know it?
You ain't got to be rich to punch someone in the face, you know, inspiring.
Well, I've listened to like so many videos from like boxers or athletes or MMA fighters, and the thing about MMA or even combat sports boxing, it's a great equalizer, because whether you're, you know, old, whether you're young, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're black, whether you're white, it doesn't matter your background. The moment you get in that ring, all that matters is how much work you've put in outside of the ring. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, I'm just going to show you something. I don't know if you can see this, but this is, I stopped my run, and it's my second hour. I've burned 1,048 calories on a 2-hour slow jog just to cut weight for 7 days for a rapper. So I take this shit really seriously. I've trained twice a day for the last 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
So people, that's the humbleness of it. You don't train, you don't make weight. You don't train, you're going to be shit. You don't train, your timing's off. You don't train, you're going to lose. And you can be a trillionaire. If you don't train, you lose. And that's the thing about boxing, is you're just as equal as anyone. Money's irrelevant.
Yeah, I hear that, mate. So, look, let's just say you knock this geezer out, which I'm pretty sure you will. I believe you're going to get into a position where you're also going to knock out Jake Paul. Then what's for you in the boxing world? Because when I was researching, you're 38. Is that right?
38, yeah, man.
38. You look really good for 38, mate. I'm 35, so I'm not far behind you. Where do you see this boxing career going then? Because obviously, typically, I know boxers can go beyond 40, but around about 40, people normally hang up the gloves.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, I was saying this to someone else. They were like, "What do you think about a domestic tussle?" And just like, let's say you're my friend, right? Even as my friend, do you really care for me to fight like Buatsi or Lyndon Arthur or Anthony Yard? No, you'd rather see me fight 50 Cent. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's not my career anymore because I'm too old. Like they're up and coming young bucks at 24, 25, Olympic champions, superstars, got 10-year career ahead. Me, I'm at the end. So why would I go from getting paid well at the Mercedes Arena, fighting on one of the big, they had 20 million viewers last fight, to going back down to fighting for the Southern Area title? It makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, this kind of celebrity hybrid MMA fighters, former champions, people kind of in my age range and kind of YouTubers and singers, that makes more sense for me. Like if you were in my shoes, that's probably what you do as well. Like you wouldn't go, "Oh, give me to Debo and get me 40 grand for it."
Yeah. That's not obviously your vision. That's not your goal. Yeah, and I totally hear that. And part of doing this as well, Joe. Obviously you said about the mental focus and getting physically fit, etc., which I fully respect. But also your profile. I mean, it must be really good for your profile, and that must have a halo effect into businesses or other opportunities.
Well, absolutely, and also like people don't get to know me very well unless they have these sit downs with me, like you are now. So it's great to kind of get my point across and people to understand why I do things. On paper, on my Instagram, you just think this arrogant, rich, daddy's rich kid. When no one knew I grew up in Hounslow and was a dishwasher for 5 hours in the studio. So when people start to understand my story, it's not just about making money from the bag. It is genuinely about inspiring others. I swear to you, when I've been really down this camp because I'm cutting calories, I've lost 25 pounds to make the weight. I've been alone. It's been, it's great to be in Miami, but man, being 38, inspiring, 30 rounds a week and getting beat up sometimes ain't fun anymore. Right? It's not like when you're 24 and you're like, I'm going to be a world champion. Like, it's hard. And the messages that I get on Instagram from young entrepreneurs and young up-and-coming people, like, man, I grew up in Hounslow. You're the reason that I get up and I started my business and now it's making 10 grand a year and now it's making 100 grand a year. And those messages make what I'm doing worthwhile, if that makes sense. There is a halo effect onto business, but not really, because my business is so obscure relative to sports, right? I sell booze for a living. I sell alcohol and food. It's like the opposite of what I do. You know what I mean? So it's not like I had a shoe company or a CBD oil or somebody you could really relate to, or a boxing glove business. I have a nightlife business. No one in my world boxing.
Yeah, I guess it's not. It's a little bit like Richard Branson, right? Sir Richard Branson, billionaire. He used to be known pulling off public stunts. Whether that's abseiling down a building or going around the world in a hot air balloon and nearly killing himself. He's not trying to sell the hot air balloon, but he's doing these kind of public displays because people talk about him. And in some ways, Joe, I know you've got many different businesses, real estate, and also restaurants and high-end nightclubs and stuff. But they're going to go, let's go to that club because, do you know that geezer Joe? He just fought on, Jake Paul undercard. So that's what I kind of mean. It has that kind of knock-on effect.
Yeah. It definitely increases my profile. Like, I wouldn't mind doing more stuff on TV. I really enjoyed the TV shows that I did in the UK, the philanthropic one with Eamon Holmes, where we helped out a lot of people, and also the one about my business. I do enjoy being on the camera. So maybe stuff like that comes off the back of it. Things that, I'd love my own talk show one day, like a Jeremy Kyle or something, something like that, where you can have your friends come on and talk about, I enjoyed it when I did Jeremy Kyle, actually. So you never know. I'm just, like I said, just taking each fight as it comes. The dream is to get Jake Paul next. The dream is actually to fight other Teofimo Lopez on the card. That's on Triller, and that's June the 5th. So hopefully I get a kind of a marquee knockout this time, and then I can kind of prove my worth and increase my profile. That's all it's about. It's just like a normal business. You got to increase your marketing to get your profit.
Yeah, totally hear that. You just said something as well, like, you know, you're 38 years of age, and unlike when you were like, let's say in your late 20s, things are hurting now. I mean, I'm 35. I've just started sparring in the last 5-6 weeks. I fight down boxing booth, which is at the Booth's gym. I'm going to be hopefully doing 2 more fights later on this year, and I've noticed, you know, from 2 years ago, my wrists, you know, my neck, it hurts so much more as you grow up. So preserving your body, Joe, I mean, you know, you're a guy, like I said, keeps yourself a good neck. What are the secrets? What are the keys? What are the ingredients to preserve your body? Because you've clearly done it well over the years.
You know, one thing I've done the last few, I'd probably say last 2 years, I really cut down alcohol. Like I used to drink maybe 3-4 times a week, like everyone else, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or I booze, you know, Monday, then Thursday, Friday, the weekend, you know, whatever it is, that culture of being in London. I love going to the pub. I like having a pint, right? And then I realized that was really the catalyst to eating bad food and then wanting processed foods, yellow foods.
Absolutely.
Because it kind of messes with your cravings because of the kind of, what do they call them? The good bacteria in your stomach turns into bad bacteria, and that's what gives you the craving.
Yeah.
I only learned that a few years back. So now I try and stay away from alcohol unless it's a real celebration, and I just chug water. I drink maybe like 8 to 10 liters every day, training or not training. What it does, it fills you up. It really increases your metabolism, and also keeps your skin, puts good stuff on the skin from like cream on the outside, but from the inside out, that's really the most important. So, they're kind of my secrets. And one thing that I did this summer in Mykonos, where I was having a good time and I was drinking more, is I never had a day off. So even if I'd had a big night out with all the boys, went out on the boat, drank all day, rosé, whatever it was, I would either do a weight session or I would skip for an hour. And that was like, before I ate or did anything, that was like my rule. All right, you want to have a good night? Cool. But tomorrow you've got to put that in before you do anything else. And I think there are 3 disciplines. There's lots of water, training every day, and just really like cut back 80% on your booze.
Yeah.
And mentally it helps you. It really helps that positive mindset where you want to eat salads, want to eat grilled foods as opposed to fried foods and cheese and bread and all the stuff I like.
Yeah. I think I definitely second that. So just one last bit on the boxing subject, because I noticed that you turned over when it was in 2015, and currently right now you're 8-0 with 8 knockouts, if I'm right.
Yeah. And actually, you know, if you go on Fight Facts, it's got my real record. Box Correct, they're a bit of a scam. And they didn't put up my last 2 fights, although they were sanctioned by the WBA and they were in the US, and I won the WBA international title and was ranked number 10. They don't want to recognize them. It's a website by 2 Germans. But actually, Fight Facts is a paid website, and that's what the commissions look at.
Right.
I'm actually 10-0.
So like, typically, Joe, you normally find people come from the amateurs. They have, like, you know, I know 20, 30, 40, 50 fights, and then they turn over. And that's your typical textbook kind of route to market, so to speak. But you know, there are a handful of boxers that never had an amateur career, and they've gone on to do some really good stuff. So how come you turned over so late, you know, in your life?
Because, you know, I never wanted to be. Boxing was never kind of something that I thought I would be a professional. I never thought I was any good, to be honest with you. I just got really fat. I was like 28, 29. I broke up with my girlfriend, and I was about 18 stone.
Right. Wow.
And super fat. And I'd made good money in my business. And then when I broke up with my girlfriend, who was very pretty, and she, you know, I felt like that fat dude that girls are only talking to because they know he's made a few quid.
Yeah.
And like, my ego couldn't handle it. And then I just did a charity fight, to be honest with you. So I knew I needed to put myself out there because I know that's what motivates me, is the pressure of the risk.
Being accountable,
out there, I'm fighting this day. Right, you're accountable. So that was the only thing because I didn't need to be accountable for anything. I didn't need to lose weight. Right? I was living a happy life. I was making money. It wasn't affecting my business. So I did a charity fight, and then they rolled into, I did like 10, 15 of them with White Collar Boxing London, which is a great organisation if anyone wants to try a charity fight. Scott is the guy's name. Scott Borthwick, and then and he helped my confidence, and then I did some unlicensed fights, which were a bit harder, and then I started training. Then by that point I'd lost about 40 pounds, and so I was feeling really good about myself, like mentally as well. And that's what I'm saying is about my mental, because to be 18 stone, you got to have lost your mind. If you're 6'1", you know what I mean? You got to really let yourself go and be in a dark place somewhere along the line. So I didn't realise that until I'd lost the weight. And then I came to Miami and I was really enjoying it. And then the coach said to me, you've been sparring a lot of pros in the gym. So why don't you have one pro fight just so you can tell your grandkids, granddad was a pro boxer. He was 1-0.
Yeah.
And that was the plan.
Yeah.
Just to say to my grandkids, I don't even have a wife or kids, but one day say, Grandma was a pro boxer. She had one fight. And it was Dino Spencer at the FTSE gym in Miami there. So let's go. There's a guy, he's doing his debut in 6 weeks' time, and he's an opponent. He's a light heavyweight. Do you want to try it? And I'm like, I was a bit scared, to be honest with you, because I still don't really know how good I am. Because even this camp, I sparred a guy from the army, and he beat the shit out of me, and I sparred a 15-0 light heavyweight Golden Gloves champion. I beat the shit out of him. So I actually have no idea how good I am still to this day, So I went out to the Dominican Republic. I did my pro debut. I knocked the guy out in the first round, and then there was a fight 4 weeks later, and I'm like, this is fun. Like the weight cutting, I enjoyed all of the process really of just the discipline of it, and it made me more efficient in my job because I was lighter, I had more energy, I was sleeping less hours, I didn't need so many hours to get going, because when you are lighter, your blood flows to your brain better. Yeah, and that's kind of how it kept going. And then when I won the WBA title, I had 4 weeks notice, and the WBA called up and they said, look, the belt's there. If you want to fight the guy, fly down there and fight him, and I did. And I got the crap kicked out of me for 9 rounds. I hadn't been sparring. I hadn't fought in a year and a half. And then I dropped him in the night. The only two things I'm good at, mate, is I got a good chin and I can throw hard. When I throw punches, I throw them for real. If you tell me, look at Joe on the pads or shadow boxing or whatever, I look crap. I'm more of like just let's have a fight and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I train really hard. That's it. So I got good cardio. I can punch hard. I got good shit. Like if you tell me double jab, right, split, uppercut, body shot, left hook, turn, forget about it. That ain't me, man.
So before your charity fights, did you have any kind of even going down a boxing gym on the bag or on the pads, or did you come into boxing literally when you were doing your charity fights?
I'd done a little bit of stuff as a young kid, a little bit of bare knuckle in the caravan parks around Hounslow, Heston way. Right. When and we'd get paid a few quid to mess around down there. But nothing relevant as after the age of 15.
Well, it's impressive to see your journey, mate, and it's definitely inspiring. So look, I want to talk about a little bit about business now, the back end of the sort of the interview. So looking at your social profile then, mate, you never sit still. You're in Ibiza, then you're in Mykonos, then you're in Miami, then you're somewhere else, then you're in London. I've obviously met you at the David Hay gym. I've gone outside and there's a lovely Rolls Royce Wraith out there. You've got lovely watches, keep yourself in good nick. And I've got to be honest, mate, from an outsider, if I didn't know you, people would be like, this guy's the real James Bond because you can fight, you're fit. But then you also got, you're a businessman, and and you also got the nice toys as well. I've seen you on private jets. You got your lovely little pooch dog there called the Duke, which I think is named after your sort of boxing alias. And then also, you're on yachts and stuff. So look, like you said earlier, from the outside it looks great, but there must be some challenges. So let's talk about, let's say, your journey. According to Forbes, your net worth is somewhere around the £100 million mark. How did that happen?
I think, how's the best way to describe success? I think, someone said this to me the other day. And he was a multi-billionaire, right? And he said to me, I said, man, I asked him the same question you just asked me. I said, man, I dream one day to be worth 10 billion like you. And he says to me, trust me, Biggie, the singer, got it right. More money, more problems. And I said, how is that? You can do everything. You've got 10 planes, you've got 40 yachts, you've got the best house, you throw parties to 2,000 people at a time, And he's like, man, if you make 10, you spend 9. If you make 10 million, you spend 9 million. If you make 10 billion, you spend 9 billion. He goes, I'm just under as much pressure as the guy working to pay his mortgage. And I think like I've earned, I've made great business decisions, but it's still the same pressure because how do you grow? You grow by taking risks, right? So imagine you're at the casino and you put £1 on red, right? And then you make £2. Well, what are you going to do to make £4? You've got to risk that £2, right? So at the end of the day, it's like it swings, and the swings is what creates the pressure. And when the swings are good, yeah, you get a boat and you get a plane, but the swings are down, you're selling a boat, you're selling a plane, you're paying the staff.
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, it's like, like I said, I put out there all the positive things that are aspirational to young entrepreneurs. But yeah, obviously I'm in hospitality. We've not been allowed to open for nearly a year and a half, and it looks like it could be 2 years. Like obviously the business in Mykonos is open because it's open air, and they've been really strict in Greece. But I've had just this year alone, I've had 10 million quid's worth of deals to fall through.
Yeah.
I had a 10 million deal right on the table. Thank you very much. Check to be written. Just COVID, the new variant. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just as under much pressure as everyone else. Sometimes I kind of wish I was being the employee again. When I was a dishwasher and I made £8, I knew that at the end of the day I had £8 to spend on the weekend.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like you're up, you're down. You don't even know what it is anymore, and it is a lot of pressure and stress. So you just got to grind through it. And I think that if I could turn back the clock, I would enjoy the moment more.
Oh man,
I had a lot of times where I wanted to have that article in Forbes, 100 million Joe Fournier. And then you're like, now when you say it back to me, I feel embarrassed. I feel like, that's not what I want to be known for. I want to be known for, legacy stuff, being a good person, helping other people, not like, look at Joe's art collection. He's got 20 million in art or whatever it is, or his watches or his planes. So I think I appreciate, the luck and the chances that I've had. I wouldn't change that. But I think now as I'm getting into my older things, it's definitely humbled me. Like you said, your sore back or my grey hairs. Who do I pay to get rid of my grey hairs or my receding hairline? Or the fact that I sparred the other day, my neck's been sore for 4 days. You know what I mean? I used to spar every day of the week sometimes when I was 25, 26. So
yeah,
you start to realise. So what I will say is enjoy the moment, because even when it's shit, they're the things you remember at a later date.
Joe, like
why I'm on this podcast with you.
Yeah.
Is because I know you're a good businessman and I know you've made good business decisions. But this podcast is your passion that one day I hope will be something great and, will be a legacy business for you. And I'm only on here and I always stayed in touch with you because I know that this means a lot to you. You know what I'm saying? And this is the hardest point, is getting people on it, right? And it only takes one day David Beckham to call you or Richard Branson to call you, and next thing you know, your podcast, you're the new Joe Rogan, right? It only takes that break. So if I can support anyone in their dream, I will always do it. And you don't need to do this. You don't make money doing this. Same way I don't really make money fighting. So I'm with you on this journey is the point.
Yeah.
I know how it feels.
Yeah, really thankful and humbled by them words, Joe. And there's a couple of things that you said there. Enjoy the moment. Listen, in the last couple of years, I don't know what it is. It's like a switch has gone off in my head. I think it's more because I've got a son now. He's like 2 and a bit years of age, and I've got to be honest, Joe. I was a guy even a few years ago, right? I was point blank, never getting married, never going to have kids, and I was saying it all the time. Me and my missus, who I've been with now for almost 14 years. We nearly broke up a few times because of it, because I was so never going to do it. And anyway, a few things changed, and now I'm married. I got married last year in Amante in Ibiza. You probably know it's a restaurant up in the hills, and also got my son. Yeah. And now when I think over the last few years, the number one thing is be in the moment, enjoy the moment. Because that's the thing that really is a bit of a regret sometimes, because I'm thinking about business all the time. I go home and my missus says to me, "You're not really here at the moment, are you?" And I said, "Look, babe, I just can't switch off. I'm thinking about the next deal." It's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because I want to push on with my business. I want to become a success. I want to have all the things in the world. I want to be a billionaire. My affirmations every day in my book, and I can prove it to you right now in this book next to me. I write down every single day, I'm a multi-billionaire. I'm the best version of me. And I write that every single day. The downside of not switching off is I'm missing some golden moments in the present. So that's number one. The thing you just said there, I resonate with that so much. Number two, the podcasting is a bit like your boxing. You're right. I'm not making money from it now. I do want to in the future. Not because I'm going to need the money, it's because it gives me validation I'm doing something good, because you can measure when you get paid. But for me, it's a creative outlet, you know, and also it allows me to connect to people around the world. Like, Joe, if I went over to you, I mean, maybe you're different because, you know, you become a bit of a friend, but let's just say me and you were strangers and I just bumped into you one day and say, hey, I want to pick your brain and ask you questions. You are a nice guy, so you probably would do it, but most people would be like, well, why? Yeah. But because I have a hat on or as a podcaster, it changes the dynamics and then I can connect with people. And the old saying is, your net worth is determined by your network. And this allows me to expand my network. So, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things you said there.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And, you know, I think you should, just from my standpoint, I think the approach that you're coming at with this podcast is really cool, because you're kind of not just focusing on one dimension, you're kind of multi-dimensional. So, I'm really glad we finally connected properly.
Yeah, mate. So can I just ask about a little bit about your business career? So I know that you sold 14 gyms, which you owned a freehold to a FTSE 100 company. That's what I read. Yeah. Is that
yeah? So I had gyms, and then I went into nightlife, and then I went into different real estate ventures, and to be honest with you, now I did a lot of stock trading, which was very. I just never got caught on to these coins quick enough. I was kind of anti-coin.
Right.
And now, you know, I'm kind of in a crossroads. You know, myself is, do I keep building the hospitality brand? Because one thing you just touched on for me is I can't switch off, like you just said. So I haven't been able to have a girlfriend for 6-7 years, and I want to do what you've done, is have a wife and kids, you know. So I'm kind of like thinking, man, do I maybe like wind it back in a little bit, start taking less risks, and, you know, try and find out? Because who wants to date a nightclub owner? Guy walking around the club every night with 23-year-old girls going, oh, that's down at the club, oh, what's your name? You know, following on Instagram, adding on Instagram, celebrities, whatever, all coming to the club. And then she's going home to your missus smelling of booze and perfume. It's like, not really the one. Imagine she accepts it, imagine you marry her, and then she gets pregnant and you're still doing that. Yeah. You know, it's just not nice. I would feel terrible doing it as a person. So I might be looking at, you know, other things. You know, that's why maybe from these five, a TV opportunity comes up, something where I can take this business experience, I can take the knowledge I have, I can take the life experience, apply it maybe in a TV format, apply it maybe to something like that I can then build a third career, so to speak, from gyms to nightlife to television. Who knows? You know, like anything is possible. You just gotta keep your eyes and ears open and kind of and keep your faith.
Yeah, Joe, what was it like? Because this business I'm in now is called Woodbury House. It's my art company, and we've got a couple of divisions. Yeah. We've got the advisory arm, and then we're just building up an e-commerce arm. We just got a new non-exec director on board, and I won't mention any names, but a guy that and I don't want to give it away actually. The guy I've interviewed on my podcast back end of last year, you know him for sure, and we're going to approach him. We're going to approach him next week to see, not necessarily as an investor, but trying to bring him on board because we know we can scale up our business and sell it. I've never sold a business. I've got properties and stuff like that, and I've made a few quid by doing sales, etc. But what's that feeling like when you actually sell a business to a a FTSE 100 company? What's that like?
Can I walk in 10 minutes? And I'm just around the corner.
Say again.
Can I walk and talk? Because I got Spar in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Yeah, I'll wrap up the podcast shortly anyway if you need to go.
Yeah, no worries. I think, look, selling any business, out of every 100 deals, 99 don't go through, right? So it is a bit like hitting a six in cricket. It is a bit like, getting that girl's number that you've always wanted to get a number. It's kind of like that knockout punch, so to speak. It just feels incredible because so many of the times you get let down. Like I told you, I literally had a business on the table right now that would have paid me out 10 million a year for the foreseeable, and it fell through. I mean, because of the second COVID variant. I mean, what are the chances? And it was government based, right? So it's not like I could go and do it another way. The government said no. The government said no.
Yeah.
So there are so many deals that fall through that when you do finally get one that gets bought out, it is an incredible feeling. And, it's kind of one of the best feelings you'll ever have. But it is rare. It's hard. And I think now I have a bit more experience. Before it was kind of fluke, to be honest with you. Now I have a bit more experience. People can really build businesses to sell them. Like what you're doing is having an advisory board, having return revenue, keeping your overheads down, not paying yourself a big salary. And, all the basics of what kind of VC companies look for. Good cash flow. I think all of those elements, I didn't really understand before. I was just cowboying it and bagging it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, for someone who's fluked into it, or let's say winged it, as you just put it, you've pulled it off pretty well, Joe. So that's remarkable. Look, I know you got to shoot off in a second, mate. So I don't want to take too much of your time. So obviously your fight is on the 17th, which is basically just over a 1 week and 1 day. How can people subscribe to that? How can people follow you, Joe?
So if you follow me at Joe, Joe Fournier, Fournier, is my Instagram.
Yeah.
And the link is in my bio. It's a 4-hour show. Has Ben Askren, Jake Paul. Sorry, let me get past the it has Ben Askren, Jake Paul. Has Frank Mir against Steve Cunningham, the former cruiserweight world champion. It has Red Progress.
Yeah.
The guy that lost Taylor. And they're fighting for the guy that Justin Bieber singing concert. So it's a bit like a Super Bowl show where it's a mixture of music and fighting, kind of entertainment. And there's, so they're the main televised fights, those four that I just told you. And you go on my bio and you can just click on the link, and it's $49 to watch all 4 hours of it.
Yeah, incredible. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be tuning in, Joe. I can't wait to watch it, and very, very best of luck. Can I get your prediction for the fight?
I'd be surprised if he gets out the first round, to be honest with you. I don't know how awkward he's going to be, but I've trained really hard for a real fighter. I've done about 100 rounds, and I'm in the shape of my life. I'm ripped to the bone. I'm right down at the weight now, 10 pounds to go with a week to water cut. So I'm going to be bigger and be stronger. And I'm trying to really create a statement that forces Triller's hand to put me in the ring with Jake Paul.
Yeah, amazing, mate. And just one more thing. So, like, I really appreciate your time on this, mate, because I always call myself, when anyone asks me to describe myself, I would say I'm a salesperson, number one, and someone who just found myself in business. And I believe boxers, fighters, is so synonymous to business or sales, because you're either making a sale, you're winning a fight, or you're losing the sale, or you're getting knocked out. There's no in between, and that's the reason why I wanted to interview you, Joe, because you cross over both of those areas. So here's something I made up when I first got into business. It's a saying, and here's how the saying goes: be happy, never content. Joe Fournier, if I were to ask you to give your interpretation of that saying, what does that mean to you? Be happy, never content.
Ironically, I have a very similar saying, which is achieve greatness, right? And that's my saying. So you have a saying, be happy, never content. In other words, achieve greatness.
Yeah.
So be the greatest version of yourself. Be great, be incredible. Don't just be good. And weirdly enough, two entrepreneurs, same mindset, and that's the mindset you need to be a successful entrepreneur. Is your saying or my saying is just a different way of saying the same thing, which is go out there every single day and be the best you can be. And that's why I always say when people say, "How good are you? Could you be this guy? Could you be that guy?" And I always just say, my competition is with me. I'm being the best I can be. And if that's good enough on the night, great. And if it isn't, as long as I was honest with myself about what I did, that's what counts. So that's why I don't drink. That's why I sacrifice the food. That's why I train twice a day, is because I want to be great as Joe Fournier. And whatever that means to anyone else is irrelevant, because the competition's up here in my head, you know. And the same with business. That's why the number's the number. Right? I just believe I need enough to have freedom. Freedom's my number.
Yeah.
Right? And that could be an extra 0 or 2 zeros or 3 zeros, or it could be nothing. You know, I got a Rolls Royce, but here in Miami in training camp, I ride a bicycle everywhere and I wear a garment. So it's irrelevant, because at the end of the day, to achieve greatness, you got to adapt to whatever the situation is that you have in front of you. And if that means cleaning the toilets in my nightclub, the toilet's blocked and it's the middle of the night and I can't get it clear, you clean the toilet. And if it means doing an interview like this where everyone talks about your accolades, you do the interview, but you just can't have one or the other. You've got to achieve greatness in all aspects to be a successful entrepreneur.
Love it, Joe. Love it. I love your positivity. Listen, everyone subscribe to The Fight. This podcast comes out on the 16th, which is a day before. It's a bonus episode for me, because normally I'll release them on a Wednesday. Joe, thank you for your time. Go and smash it, hit your goals, and I'll be tuning in, mate. Thank you very much.
Buddy, I'll repost it for it. All right.
All right, lovely. Thank you very much, and have a good spar, mate. Nice one.
Thanks, mate.
Take care. Bye.